What's up, guys? Welcome back to another production meeting. It's like a family reunion every time we get together. How have you been? How's everything?
Ryan, I probably need to know more because you've recently moved.
Yeah, I'm in a different state now. I'm on a different time zone. Same one as you guys. Maybe the Wi-Fi is
Yay.
good now. So,
Yes.
my lighting situation is atrocious. I'm looking at two lamps right now that are just unplugged. So I'm doing what I'm doing, and my camera keeps darkening my face every once in a while. So next
It's
week we'll get
okay. Those
together.
are the intense brooding moments when you're, really serious and need to get your
Yeah,
point across.
I'll kind of dramatically turn and cut to a slow mo while Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross pump up the volume in the background.
Yeah, right. Um,
Uh,
yeah, I know. I was thinking, I was like, now I don't have to be like, when we talk about times of getting together for these, it's not like,
Yeah.
oh, your time, Ryan? Okay, so we have to calculate. All right.
No, you're telling me I run a D&D campaign and I'm in another one. Figuring out freaking Eastern Standard Time to Central Time is the worst.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh,
for
six people
sure.
have to communicate exactly what times they're free, or I have to communicate. So yeah, no, I'm happy to be on a normal time. And now I'm not being. Wait, was that earlier than you guys or later? Well, now somebody isn't being kept up way later by the other ones, and I can't remember who that was.
We're the early ones. Like you would keep us up late.
Oh, okay, okay, that's right, that's right.
Yeah.
That
Because like
ironically would
if
have
you
worked
were,
better for tonight.
technically, yeah. But I was the one who held us up today because I had to see something else to talk about tonight. So we'll get into that later. Um,
yay. I can't
yay.
I can't
Um,
wait. Can't
I
wait.
know. Have so you let's yeah. What have we watched? I mean, I'll sum up what I've watched is nothing really. A lot of what we'll talk about is um what like I'll kind of piggyback and be like, oh yeah, I remember I watched that because I have not watched really much this year. All of my time, almost all my time is Final Fantasy Rebirth. That is this year's MLB The Show because I've put in 160 plus hours into that, and I'm just now like, yeah, it's brutal. It's literally it's brutal. There's a part where I have to, in order to finish at 100% this game, I have to do these things called brutal challenges, and it's living up to its name. So I'm like, yeah.
Have,
So
have
so
you
I'm doing a lot of
finished the
that.
game yet?
I have finished the actual like story. So, but I
Okay.
have to, I have to play it again on hard mode. But like going like straight through the story is going to be not much. What's up, Ryan?
So for anybody maybe who is watching or listening that maybe doesn't know, is this a new game in the series or a remake or a remaster? Where does
So to
this
try to
fall in
sum it
the?
up, so
Not for me, of course.
the
For a
original,
friend.
yeah, right.
For a friend.
There's Final Fantasy VII, which came out in '97. This is a three-part retelling and a little bit of a reimagining of that first game. So there's Remake, which came out in 2020, which is kind of a confusing name to make it because it's all a remake. So that came out in 2020. It's just a very nice new age version of that old game. Rebirth is part two of that retelling of the original story.
Oh,
Um, and I mean, this part alone is taking me probably will finish me close to like 200 hours. So that tells you, but this one's way harder than the first one for some reason. I don't understand. Um, but that's been taking up the majority of my time. But it is really good. I highly recommend it. It's a little somebody would always ask me, when I started remake and then going into this one, they're like, "Is it just Kingdom Hearts?" And I'm like, because Square Enix is the studio behind both, the developer behind both, and I'm like, yes, but no, but kind of, but but it's like that dumbs it down way much. Not that Kingdom Hearts is dumb. Like I love those games, but that's the majority of what I've been doing since our last video. With a few. few movies that we'll be getting to in just a little bit. But you guys probably have way more to talk about than me in that regard. So who's been watching what recently? Like anything good?
Well, we can get to like all of the like the separate stuff that we're gonna put it all together.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so um, let's get to like the news first because I know that there's
Oh
like
yeah, for sure.
some stuff in here. Unless Ryan wants to tell us about more about his Wi-Fi situation.
Is it bad?
Yeah, I was gonna say it seems pretty good right now.
Okay. I was like, I didn't notice anything.
So before we started,
online.
before we started recording, I just seen Ryan kind of doing this.
That's right. I was just waving, and I
And I was
thought
like-
we were frozen, and Clint was apparently I was not frozen, so I was just
Hello.
Oh, for a second, it looked like that happened. I was like, uh-oh.
Okay. So let's spitfire some of this stuff. So, you guys remember the Joker trailer? I know this is going way back.
Yeah.
no.
Anybody like? No. It was alright.
I mean, I saw it.
Yeah. Cool. Moving on.
I'm getting off the hype train now before everybody else gets on it, and then off of it again.
Right.
So there's a mixed bag. There's a
Mixed
style
bag?
to it that I like. Yeah, it's just a trailer show. Obviously, it's just, a teaser.
Right.
Some of it I like. I was like, I think the fact that it just exists is weird because one, does this seem like a movie? I mean, we've talked about this plenty of times. Is this a movie that needs a sequel? No. And Joaquin Phoenix, I think, has maybe gone on record. I don't know. He's notorious for like being super like, I don't do sequels. So this is a little bit. He's like, you know what? Maybe I will do a sequel. And I mean, sure, why not?
I'm
Money.
sure that
Yeah,
Warner
money.
Brothers was like, here's some money. Will you do sequels
Can
now?
have a blank check.
Right?
Yeah, but I mean, you could say that about anything, really. I mean, there's an Academy Award something of it. I mean, not Gladiator, not like that old, but like a more recent thing that he did, and it's not like you make a sequel for that.
Walk the line.
No, it might even be more recent than that.
No, he won.
know, maybe
for
that's-
this.
He started in did he start in the Master? Was that Joaquin? I haven't seen it.
Maybe.
Also,
Oh, is that
Miami
Philip Seymour
Vice. No,
Hoffman?
not Miami Vice. Inherent
Mhm.
Vice, but I don't think he was nominated for that.
Well, he just
Eh,
won
well,
for
the
He
point
this.
shouldn't have been.
Yeah. So, but the point is that he's done some stuff that maybe could have a sequel. Probably not. But it's just, hey, here's more money. So it's like, But anyway, I thought the trailer was fine. I am more excited about it than I am nervous about it. Let's just put it that way.
Cool. Next up, I want this to go on record because we're recording right now. And I asked this question in the group. Did you all know that there was a remake to Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead? How did they sneak this in?
When you said it, no, I looked it up later. I was like, because you said it and then it popped up on my feed on Facebook. I was like, this is weird. This is spooky timing.
How
I didn't
did
know
they
there was an
sneak this in?
original movie called "Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead." Am I
Okay,
too
you're-
young?
Yes, you're fired. Okay, so it
I know
stars
lots
Christina
of things.
Applegate.
What is this?
It was like
Yeah.
it was right around
Oh.
her Married
Oh.
with Children thing. Married with Children days. It was like right around that time.
I will not like
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I have not
You
seen
probably
this,
won't.
Clint, but I at least know of it, the
Okay.
original, and yeah, so
I'm amazed that they snuck this in. Like nobody talked about this at all. And I was just like, oh, okay, I guess. Next up, any Heroes fans? Yes. Hoping they make a sequel series to this. Apparently Tim Kring, sorry, has said that there is supposed to be a new series in development.
Hmm.
Yay. Can't wait for
No
that.
thanks. I'll give it back.
Okay.
I
Well,
I watched all of
I feel
Heroes.
all alone now.
I'm sorry. No, I watched all of Heroes, and then I watched Heroes Reborn, and I was like, wow, Heroes is a great miniseries if you stop at season one.
Yeah.
I like it all, but it's like, and I'm sure there are other shows like this, but I can't think of it. Heroes is like a stair step down, but it's like you don't know how low it's gotten until you're there, where you're like, oh yeah, each season was not as good as the last, and I don't think Reborn did it. I don't think Reborn was able to do it. So I'm
So here's my thing. I liked I liked the first half of season two a little bit better than most people give it credit for. Only for the fact is that with season one, like the powers kind of get boring.
yeah.
Because and I'm sure it's because of visual effects and like budgetary reasons and whatever. It's like, well, we're gonna steal powers from everybody. Cool. So at least season two, they kind of like expanded a little bit on the powers situation, like the X-Men. But I like the first half of season two, and then like season two just went off the rails somewhere, and I was like, okay. Um, Next up, we're making a Last Ronin live action feature, which is intended for adults. Thank you. I like this series that they wrote. I don't know if you guys know what this is. Do y'all know what this is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will bet you right now this will be record attendance for kids sneaking into an R movie.
Yes.
Hmm.
So, Alex, if you don't know, the Last Ronin is actually a miniseries by the original creator, well, the original artist, Kevin Eastman, for the Ninja Turtles, and it's set.
Oh, yay. Okay, okay.
I think they're
Yeah, now
making
I
a
do.
game now too, actually,
I
because it's
believe
like
you're right.
hugely
Yep.
popular. It is 6 issues long, 5 issues long, something like that. It's a very extreme limited series. If you get the time to read it, please read it. It is actually really good. It's set 20 years in the future of Ninja Turtles, so it is actually really good.
Rachel got in line with her nice hardcover of it to meet Kevin Eastman
Wow.
at Comic Con in Kansas City or Oklahoma City a couple months ago, and they had no limit on the amount of items you could bring. So her line pretty much didn't move until he had to take a break, and she did not get to meet him.
Oh,
So
that sucks.
cons limit the
Yeah, that
amount of
does suck.
items your people have to sign. Other people have to meet them too.
I would, yeah, I agree. Like I've only been to one comic. I went to GalaxyCon last year in July, and I mean, I was only there to meet Charles Martinet, and I mean, I would say like read the room. If it looks like you got like 15 items per person, then you got to be like, yo, two max. Come on, let's go. Pick your favorite two items and move on out. Because yeah, I mean, everybody else paid for this, so that really sucks, man. I'm sorry she didn't get to
Yeah.
meet him.
Yeah, that sucks.
Hmm.
So moving on, Fallout Prime series has been renewed for season two. Yay! We'll talk about that a little bit later. Sorry, just looking for some stuff here. This is a big one. So apparently Peter Jackson is in talks to revive the Lord of the Rings franchise with Warner Brothers. Why?
Yeah.
We have Rings of
I
Power.
personally, yeah, I know. I personally like want this, but I kind of don't.
The only way this would never happen. Studios would have to get along, which will never happen. The only way I think I'd be on board for this, and my best by saying on board, as in if this had to happen, this would be the way I was on board for it. Is if they run Rings of Power for the next 4 seasons, which is what they said, right? 5 max,
Something
and
like that,
it
yeah.
gets good, and then they run into more of the Tolkien world, including running through Lord of the Rings again, and it feels like it's all part of the same world and the same universe. And we can just put on one nice 45-hour Lord of the Ring marathon instead of our measly 12-hour Lord of the Ring marathon. This doesn't need to happen, but I also was like, wow, yeah, Fellowship is old.
22?
23 years, I think, right? 2001, 2, and 3, or was
That's
it
right.
2, 3, and 4? Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, these movies are
Yes.
not young anymore.
Yeah, because Two Towers came out with Attack of the Clones.
Yeah. My only thing is, I don't know, just wait for them to look bad. Like every movie that needs remade, you look back on it and you're like, oh yeah, it's starting to show some wear. Let's remake it. They still look great. Just wait a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
10, 15 years.
Yeah. I don't think this needs to happen. Deadpool and Wolverine trailer dropped. An actual official trailer. I'm kind of on board with this. I'm not really sure why he needs to be a bummed out Wolverine. A way different universe, but I guess we'll all find out. It was okay.
What surprises me most about this movie, and I even told her, Ryan, is that Kara, she bought tickets 2 days after she got off of work. And for that, I've probably for her and y'all's mom, she said that your dad couldn't make it. And I was like, you don't strike me as somebody who, but she told me it has X-Men. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, hopefully more than allegedly. But yeah, so I was like, that really surprises me. I will watch no more of Deadpool stuff until it comes out. Like, I think the first trailer gave us just enough. Everything else is just gonna be like, nope, not touching it. It's just gonna water down everything else that comes out, in my opinion.
I concur. I thought it was underwhelming, and at first I was like, why isn't it like out there? And I was like, oh, because they can only show probably 2 minutes of this movie in a trailer without spoiling things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep my expectations as low as possible. So if I seem like just pessimistic, trying to be, so I want to have a good time. But I got hyped for all the other Marvel movies lately, and everybody else hated them.
I've yet to see the Marvels.
That one is good. Actually, that was the one I went into thinking I would hate it, and then I enjoyed it.
That is the one, Captain Marvel and like Captain Marvel 2, right? Okay, yeah, that isn't bad. It's actually pretty solid.
It's fun, it's silly, it's a throwaway. You have a good time.
Yeah.
Isn't it the last Marvel movie that came out?
Yes.
Gosh, is it? Yeah, I think so.
It was only November. So
yeah, back in November. Yeah. Star Wars news. The Acolyte trailer came out May 4th. What? Can't wait. About 2 more weeks for that. What else? Oh,
can I jump in?
Of course you can.
So, right before this, we were talking about news, and we were like, "What should we include? What should we not include?" And I was like, "Oh, let's not include speculation." I did see that they were starting development on Knights of the Old Republic series.
Yes, I saw that.
I don't know if you guys had seen.
I
thought you guys posted it.
I did post it, but you know what? I regretted it after I posted it, only because for the fact is that I'm not getting excited about this until it's official and I see like production stills of this, because
You're right.
They broke my heart with this remake of the video game, and I was like, yes, finally. And they were like, just kidding.
Here's Battlefront 1 and 2 the same as before, but on a new console.
Right? Here's the Stitch version. Crap.
It's funny because I've never played the original game, but I was listening to the only podcast I ever listened to, outside of us is PlayStation related, and they were talking about, why is this such an ongoing thing, the remake remake, and they were like, I think it's just because they know that this whoever's actually developing it, they know that they can't mess this up, and it's such a hard game to, I know we're talking about like big expansive remakes, talking about Final Fantasy, but they're like, we cannot mess this up, and if we think that it is not ready, we don't even give that hint. So I think for some reason they're just as like, they don't feel like they've been able to live up yet to the original. So I think that as far as the game goes, it's there. It's in the pipeline. It's just how how long is this pipe? How many miles are we talking about? But I agree with Clint. As far as any actual like TV show, movie, yeah, you don't you believe it when you see something. Seeing
But
is
see,
believing.
I do think that as far as the series goes, and like you were saying, Alex, I think it is all going to be based on how well people receive the Alkalite because it is outside of the
Yeah.
George Lucas era. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it's outside of the
Yeah.
rebellion, it's outside of the prequels, it's outside of everything that we know as Star Wars, and the Alkalite's going to take place 200 years before any of the stuff that we've ever known before as far as Star Wars goes outside of that realm. So I think that the show is going to be like the series and the game. I think if the Alkalite does well, and because it's outside of the Star Wars saga, let's say, and
Yeah.
that time frame, outside of that, if it does well, then I think they're going to venture out further into like even before Star Wars. And I think that if, like I said, if the Alkalite does well, then they'll be like, oh, well, here's now we really need to press on the gas for either the game or the series because then you have all these characters that they can do because from what I understand the novelization of the High Republic is doing well relatively.
That's
I
great.
guess right. Yeah. So it's doing relatively well and it's being well received. So I think that's why they kind of greenlit the Alculite because it does take place during the High Republic era. But with all that being said, it's that the visually is they're gonna need more. So hopefully the Alkalite does well. I don't know.
Yes.
Speaking of Disney, Bob Iger says that he's going to reduce Marvel's input or output, I guess, of film and TV. Cool, I guess.
About time.
Yeah, I think
Right.
it's good because I think whoever shared the I'm getting more cynical as like we learn more and more series goes. Now we're talking about this Vision series, and I'm just like, great, more to keep track of, and I'm that like probably won't end up being that great. I don't know, maybe.
Well, the funny thing is that kind of like touching on that. I did read an article like yesterday, Alex. They said that some of the series that they're going to start putting out is not going to be entirely connected to everything that's going on in the Marvel universe. And I think like Wolf by Night or Werewolf by Night is not really connected. It's in the same universe, but it's not connected to any of the storylines. And I think that I just read that like Wonder Man is what they're doing is Spotlight, which is not going to be connected to anything, that it's going to be its own pocket, I guess.
That's good then.
So
I'm because we've
yeah.
talked video about superhero fatigue and everything. I think I'm finally
Mm,
like starting to experience it like for real, like because I'm starting to just be like, great, another thing, another thing.
yeah. Speaking of superheroes, did y'all see the first look of
Ah,
Superman?
Forgot.
yes, yep, yeah. I know
Yay.
I posted that and I forgot. Um, what do you? I think Clint's opinion, not to diminish our own, is probably the most pivotal of the three here.
I I think it's fine. Like he's getting his boots on. Like
Yeah,
he's Superman. I just didn't understand like the backlash of it. Like he's lazy as Superman. He's like uber fast. Like what he's gonna get there, guys. Like that's have we forgotten his power levels? Let's come on. I, I mean I think the costume looks good. There are hints of the briefs. I guess that's a good thing. I like I
yeah.
mean, I do like the chess piece. Like I think um it's a combination of like Kingdom Come and like some others that he kind of like put together. And it's not underwear. So it actually looks like it's a suit or something. You know what I mean? So I think it looks fine. Quit calling him lazy.
Yeah, really.
I thought that was so dumb. Um anyway, moving on. Uh Lord of the Rings movies. We talked about those. Oh, Ralph Ineson, I think that's how you pronounce his name, will be Galactus in the Final Four movie.
Oh,
Cool.
Hey, important to know that he's not a giant cloud, since they already have a voice for him. That's all that matters, is that he's not a giant cloud.
I do like his voice though, because like Andrew did post this and he said that he was good as the Green Knight. In the Green Knight, I believe he got the year wrong, but I could be wrong. I think he's probably right. But he was the Green Knight.
I wasn't familiar with him. Yeah, Matt and I watched that a long time ago, and I think I even own it honestly, because I was like, I'll give this a shot when I'm not like completely like been up for 20 hours prior and watching this movie at midnight of this slow movie based on a poem. So
rewatch it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like I said, yeah, I'm like 95% sure that I own it, and so I'll have to go back and watch it. Because I caught it on I was like, you know what? I liked it enough, even while I was tired. I'm going to get this. I think it was like a $10 deal for like Black Friday. So, but I didn't when whoever shared that about the Galactus role, I didn't know who that was at first. I was like, cool, and then I was like, oh well, at least I know that from Green Knight, so that's cool.
John Malkovich is also being cast in the Fantastic Four movie. Cool.
Cool.
Weird. Yeah. Weirdly, James Wan has said to be considered to be directing Spider-Man 4. Again, Andrew posted this. I'm not too sure about that. Like, I'm taking that with a grain of salt.
He's versatile.
I think that he would do well. But again, a month ago, Sam Raimi was going back to Spider-Man. So
that was the most recent one I had heard, actually. So
really,
it's Marvel and directors wait until they're shooting the movie, and then maybe that director will stay.
Maybe if they don't. Well, that's Kathleen Kennedy. Never mind. The first look at Batman: The Caped Crusader, the animated series, is dropped. Anybody else think that Harley Quinn looks a little creepy? Stuff that nightmares are made out of. Cool. I mean, it looks cool. Don't get me wrong, but she's a little creepy. Sorry, kind of going through some stuff here.
I didn't know that was what that was from, actually. I just remember seeing that image on the internet and being like, oh, the little new Harley Quinn redesign. And I was like, whatever. So now you've given me the context. It doesn't make me care more, but I at least have the context.
Right. I do want to kind of like set the record straight, because Kip posted this about a week ago about the current Planet of the Apes movies. It says the franchise is originally planned to have 9 movies. I did read an article that said that it was the original 3, these next 3, and then in a following 3. So it's not like we're getting 9 new Apes movies.
Yeah, right.
We got 4. So
exactly. So we're almost halfway.
Yeah, we're almost halfway done.
Movies.
Yes, 9 total Apes movies. Do I agree this is the new Fast saga? Yeah, probably. But if they are entertaining, as we'll probably talk about later, yeah, that's fine.
And we have characters who are monkeys who are better at speaking English than Vin Diesel. So it's a little more legible than the Fast series.
And this actor in the new one is not really known, and so if he can speak better than Vin Diesel, then there's hope. Fallout. Oh, this new Assassin's Creed came out, titled Assassin's Creed Shadows. I was too hyped to even notice like who the characters were, so I apologize for this. I don't know why we're
jump on that pay extra to get it 3 days earlier, which is actually on time, and everyone gets it 3 days late thing. I've only been following the drama around it, nothing about the game.
Oh, well, no, I know that the characters, I know that there's a lot of backlash on the characters that they're using. I'm just glad that there's an Assassin's Creed. I mean, it's an African American samurai and a woman shinobi, I guess.
Yeah. Like that's solid stuff. Clint, I'm glad you're bringing this up. Because I've only played Assassin's Creed Origins and
Hmm.
Odyssey. And in
Mhm.
my opinion, now that's when I jumped in. So I know there's a whole like there's at least what like 6 games at least probably prior to that because you got 1, 2, 3, Black Flag, Syndicate. I know I'm already forgetting some
Unity.
Unity. So this I know this is a
Yeah.
long. Is
Liberation.
this if it hasn't already been that way for a good chunk of its series at least, is it now becoming more of an anthology kind of thing where none of these really like differentiate from each other? They're all just kind of like how I know I keep going back to Final Fantasy because Final Fantasy is very much like this. None of them really have to do with each other. Is that kind of where we're at with Assassin's Creed, or do I have to have some
Um,
backstory?
no, you kind of have to have some backstory because the first three are connected to one guy, um, named Desmond,
Okay.
and
And then there's Enzio. Is that or is that the same guy
that's his
or
lineage.
Ezio?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
right.
that's his
Okay.
lineage. So Desmond, he has the DNA of all these assassins, and like they keep tapping into his memories of DNA. It's a whole DNA thing. And so they're
Okay.
like the first three games were about that particular guy in the present day, and then each one of his ancestors was another um like assassin that they're trying to find, like religious artifacts is basically what it is. Um
Well, I remember from, or at least mostly Origin. Odyssey probably did this even more. Like, you'll spend time in the past. You're in the, I don't know what,
Present.
Anubis? No, no,
Yes.
no. The actual, yeah, the
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
that sends you to the back.
Yes.
So, I would find myself way more, and I'm pretty sure like the majority of players are like this, where I find myself playing way, 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 way more in the past, playing in the actual like setting
Hmm.
in Egypt, in Rome. And like when it would make you go and do the stuff in like the present day, I'd be like, I'm skipping this. I'm jumping right back into the machine because I couldn't care
Right.
any less about this stuff. So I don't know if that's important anymore.
Not as much.
Yeah.
Um,
So
because because now it's not because his like Desmond is the present day person, and you actually had stuff to do in those first three
yeah.
games that you actually had to like complete to like make the story fulfilled. Because in the first three games, you actually did kind of like the stories kind of intertwined with each other, to where
Hmm.
stuff that happened in the past does affect the future, the present, and so on and so forth. Where now it's this girl that is they have now access to jump into different assassins throughout time. So that's
Yeah.
why
Okay.
that's why like the game, like the first three games, if you ever notice it, it does go into like this chronological order where it goes from
Hmm.
like the Crusades to like 15th century Italy to like um the American Revolution. So it makes that jump to American Revolution. Where now you're going all the way back to like ancient Egypt and ancient Greece and Norway, or like the Vikings, and now you're going to like feudal Japan and stuff like that. So she has the ability to go into other assassins.
Maybe that's why I like Ghost. I mean, a lot of people like Ghost of Tsushima so much. It's because it's that past stuff. It's that
Yeah,
past that, and you don't have to incorporate the whole, lineage, current day
right,
thing, and like
right.
that. Because I've said to people, I was like, if you like Assassin's Creed, you will like this,
Yes, yeah,
100%.
yeah. But I'm kind of I'm upset with Ubisoft for not doing this because that's literally what this series is made for, was feudal Japan and like shinobis and samurais and stuff like that. And so I'm kind of upset that they didn't do this sooner, and they
Yeah,
did ancient Greece, and not saying like not taking away like the like the credibility of those games, and how I liked Origins a little bit better than I did Odyssey. I didn't really
I agree.
like I didn't really like Valhalla, maybe because that was more about like hunting and all this other anyway. So,
Yeah.
but I think that Assassin's Creed was made for that time period, and they didn't get to that time period until after Ghost of Tsushima, and now it just kind of seems like they're riding that coattails of Ghost of Tsushima when
Yeah.
it was like this was literally made for that time period, and because I think they're doing one in China too. And
Yeah, that one I heard has always been in the pipeline for a while.
I think it's I think it's a mobile game though, if
Hmm.
I'm not mistaken, because they like 3 or 4 months ago they did like this, the Ubisoft did like this whole Assassin's Creed thing right around, actually it was right around the time that the last Mirage came out. So it was more than 6 months ago.
Mhm.
So they did this
Yeah.
whole thing, was like, hey, we're gonna do this one and this one and this one and this one. And they were like, yay.
All assassins everywhere.
Oh, Assassin's Creed. Yeah, and they were doing that. I think they even were talking about doing one like Star Wars Old Republic, where it was like everybody created their own assassin and then they could live in whatever time period. Yeah, it was like this multiplayer online thing. Not sure where that's landed yet, because I know Ubisoft has
Hmm.
been talking about that for years. Um,
Hmm.
so I don't know.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yes, it would be. Moving on though. Rings of Power is coming out. Season 2 is coming out August 29th. They had a teaser. Did you all see the teaser? August
Yeah,
29th.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
If you didn't see that Sixth Sense twist coming in that season 1, you weren't paying attention. Agatha All Along is set to premiere in September. Yay.
everyone, I know everyone's really wanted this. I think the
I
problem
saw
is to
that.
just make
Go
as many
go
shows
go
as
ahead, Ron. I'm
possible.
sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead. I just don't want to ask for this. The
No,
simple way of
I'm
saying it.
agree. I was like, I don't know if any of you have ever seen. I think it's a SNL skit where they make like it. The whole point is to say that Disney will make a series or a show or a movie about any small thing, and it's in Beauty and the Beast. It's the song at the beginning of the movie, and there's just some random character that just is there for like 2 seconds on screen that's talking about. She's like she's got all these like babies on her and she's like, I need 6 eggs. And the whole skit is about why did this woman need 6 eggs? We need to dive into her story. And it's just so obscure. And so that's immediately what I thought about. I was like, Agatha All, nobody wants this. Nobody wants it. I mean, watch it be
Well,
the greatest thing ever.
I will say, I think everyone who finished Echo, all 12 of them, will also really enjoy Agatha All
Oh
Along.
my God, no, I don't even know.
I actually enjoyed
I'm
it, so boo on both of you.
Sorry, I got
It was
halfway in
all
the
right.
first episode, and I was like, I could do anything else with my time.
You probably could, but that's not the point.
I like
I was
it.
like, we finally got to her powers. Cool.
Cool.
Anyway, speaking of Echo, Daredevil Born Again is going to arrive in March 2025. Yay. Thank you, sweet Lord. Alex, you actually tagged me in this. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is going to jump on to June 26, 2026. Very excited about that. We're gonna Ryan, you may know more about this. Do you know Dune Prophecy? I've seen the teaser trailer for this.
Yes, so it's set like hundreds of years before the events of the movie, and it's about the foundation of the Bene Gesserit.
Cool. It
And I
does
think
look
it looks
interesting.
great.
Yes, it
It
does.
looks like a real, like I know TV's gotten looks good lately, but like Disney's
yeah.
managed to cheapen that a little bit. This looks good.
Yeah, it does. It actually does look good.
I'm very glad they're moving. I'll stop talking about Doom, but I'm glad they're moving like far enough away in the past that it doesn't. There's like nothing to step on.
I don't know how you guys feel about this, but Donnie Yen is getting a movie about Kane, the blind assassin from the John Wick series. Again, this was.
You know, it's whatever. I don't disagree with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's cool. He's an interesting enough character. Yeah, sure, why not?
Happy Gilmore 2.
I'm probably one of the biggest fans you'll find of that movie. I've loved that. I've watched it so many times since I was a kid. Obviously, this doesn't need a sequel. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
But I'm like, like, what? This is dumb.
Yeah. Nicolas Cage is actually going to be in a live action Spider-Man Noir series. Cool, I guess. Is he too old to be swinging around like Spider-Man?
Yes, but
Yes.
he'll do it.
He will do it.
I mean,
He sure will.
and we will all watch it.
I sure will. Hawkeye season 2 has been greenlit. This I was actually excited for. Sorry. I loved first season, I think, because I missed Daredevil and it's that street level hero stuff. Yay.
I'm surprised that hasn't been greenlit sooner. I mean, not because I loved the first season. I'm just like, how long has it been since season 1?
It's just the viewership just went downhill for it. I think they were just trying to figure out, right? Because I remember like the season finale was like the lowest watched of Marvel's finales at the time. But it, like,
I think so.
Something about like the ratings, they just were like waiting to see how well it would hold or something like that. And then they were like, I might as well renew this. Also, they had to wait for Jeremy Renner because he.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really.
Snowmobile accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But sure, I'm on board. Like, it's fun. It's fine. It's not bad. So.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Shogun maybe getting seasons 2 and 3 out of FX and Hulu. I do recommend the first season. I really do. And a lot of people have said that this is what Game of Thrones should have been, and it is very reminiscent of Game of Thrones. If you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend this. I think specifically for the authenticity of it as well, because I watched a lot of like the behind the scenes stuff on it, and it like dives deep into like how they made this extremely authentic, with a mostly Japanese cast. So watch it if you haven't watched it. What else? Going through. Oh, I Know What You Did Last Summer is getting a remake July of next year. Some stupid reason.
Didn't they already get a show also?
I think so. Like it was like one season, I think. Something like that. I can't remember. Mortal Kombat is getting released on October 24 next year. I guess. Yeah, I'm not really sure why. Can we, by the way, the writers and directors of Mortal Kombat 2, can we use actual characters from the games, please? From the games, not some random dude whose arms glow
really,
or something like that. I can't remember.
I don't even focus on that as much as I focus on who's the Australian guy?
Oh, Kano.
What character? Kano. I knew. I was like, I was gonna say Kane, but I'm like, no, it's Kano. That was the only character who they wrote. Like they were like, we got to focus on this guy. He's the only entertaining thing. God, I mean, he was entertaining, and then everybody else sucked.
I know.
You guys are stretching my memory on this movie so much.
Yeah. See, it's all.
Did he fight a lizard guy? Is that a real thing that happened?
Probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably.
But see, I felt bad because they were like, hey, we're gonna get these like great martial artists and we're gonna use them as like actual characters from the games, and they're like, and now we're gonna make fun of you. So
yeah.
Ms. Marvel is probably getting a season 2 that I can get on board with. I actually really enjoyed the first season, like Hawkeye. What else we got? My Argyle. Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Smith posts. Oh, here we go. What's his name? Michael Leslie is in negotiations for the X-Men movie. Finally. And this is why I think that like the Knights of Old Republic is going to have something to do with the success of the Alculate, is because now this stuff is coming up about the X-Men because of the success of X-Men 97. And good. That's all I got to say about that. And what else? Oh, and the Vision series. That's about it. Vision's getting his own series. Finally, I guess. Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. All right. So that's the news. You guys got anything else? Sorry, rapid fired all of that. All
Okay.
good. So
No.
cool. So I did make a list of all the movies that came out since we had last spoke, except for Roadhouse. I think Roadhouse did come out before we like dropped something. I could have swore, but we watched it anyway. So I'm gonna go I'm gonna rapid fire through some of these things, or not really rapid fire, but we just start listing them off and see if you guys had watched them. So let's start with Roadhouse. How many of us watched Roadhouse? So we got one. Cool. Ryan, go ahead, sir.
I watched both because I hadn't seen the Patrick Swayze one. This one is definitely a little better.
Yeah.
I don't think either one is particularly interesting. I gave this one a 6. I could not tell you why. And it's not a 5, so maybe it's a 5. I think I remember really enjoying it. Matt's consistently made a joke that it should be called Boathouse, or that the whole finale. I've heard a lot about the finale, and I completely agree. Completely
Yes.
forgets what movie it is. And the weirdest thing in this movie is that like Conor McGregor shows up and single-handedly ruins every single scene he's in. And that should not be the case with an actual MMA fighter in a movie about an MMA fighter.
I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you.
It's okay. No, it's okay. Go for it. I thought his character, it felt like he pulled his character from the Patrick Swayze movie for me and put him in this one. Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm like, I agree with you on the rating of it. It is a 6 or 7, 6.5. Like, it wasn't horrible. Like, I literally watched it going okay, like this could probably be the worst thing of my life right now. But it wasn't. And that's probably because my expectations were really that low. But I think that like Doug Liman was like, hey Connor, let's ham this up. Like ham this up. And he was like, cool. And that's like the whole point of like his character was just to ham it up everywhere he went. And like I do think that they kind of lost sight of like what the movie was really about in that third act. Because it was like, is it about the kid and his care for like this little town? Or did he like care about this like whole establishment or whatever? I don't know. Or was it drugs or so? Can't remember. Property, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I 6.5 for me. Okay. Baby Reindeer. You guys watch this? No. Anybody you finished X-Men 97? I guess I'll talk about that later. Monkey Man. All three of us watched Monkey
Yes.
Man. Yay.
This movie was I will give Dev Patel a pass because I think for a directorial debut, it's fine. I think he's learning like the nuances of certain camera angles, cinematography. Now writing was also I tried to give him more of a break because I think the writing was a little like, I wouldn't say hammy, but it's a little borrowed, and
I would say it gets hammy.
Yeah, okay, then let's
Mhm.
yeah, it gets hammy. I think what did me as like, okay, this is kind of, is there were too many like not workout montages, but montages. Yeah, there were too many, and there were like two like basically back to back, and I was like, okay, okay, you can stop, you can stop that. The ending was okay. I think that just kind of sums up the movie itself. I would somewhere in the range of I know Ryan doesn't like to give half scores, but 5.5 I think is okay. I think that's fair. You know, like I said, the story itself was just kind of like it was. I think that a lot of it was like in the wrong order. Like scenes were put together in the incorrect order. And I was like, because I get how like you kind of you build at like you started a scene and then you kind of backtrack and you know kind of work. This isn't that. This is just this. I need the information for to appreciate what it is now, and then it helped me the rest of the way. And they didn't. He didn't do that. There are good choreography scenes, especially towards the end. So I'll give him and whoever thumbs ups on that. But like overall, I was just like, what a letdown. I was so excited for this. Um, yeah, so 5.5 for me.
Alex, I agree with you. I went into this movie with hearing a lot of reviews, and people were like, "Oh yeah, it's really good, but too many close-ups and all the shaky cam." And I came out being like,
Oh my
"The
gosh,
action."
yes.
I actually thought the action was fine. That there is like it influenced shaky cam, but the born rule of shaky cam is like keep your stuff in the center, and this follows that well. I think
Yeah.
maybe it would have worked better if it wasn't like build up, action, nothing. Hour later, action again. And I'm like, maybe if we had, just spread this movie out. It's so tonally inconsistent. It's inconsistently shot. Alex, I agree with you. I think the structure's all over the place. There's no point in holding off like backstory stuff in this movie. Like maybe if there had been a point, I think there's no point. I thought
Yeah.
by the time it gets to the third act, it just gets nuts, but in the worst way possible. Where I was like, we started with a very grounded action thriller, and now it's just this like community of homeless people just throwing chairs around, and then he's gonna go after this guy, and then he's got daggers in his sandals. And I'm like, this is stupid. It's fine. It's like it's not stupid. Dev Patel, if you watch our show, I'm just kidding. It's fine. It's a 5
We
for
love
me.
you, Dev.
We do. You did great. The directing was fine. It's just somewhere in the writing room, someone didn't do another draft of this movie, and I think that's where all the problems come in.
Yeah.
You know what's funny though is like I'm kind of like I have the same rating as the both of you, where it's like this 5.5, right? But I have like for different reasons, and I think that it's like I do agree with you, Ryan, where it's like if you're gonna set up the revenge plot, but let's do that in like the first 10 minutes, and we don't need to kind of like drag this out because it was just like the first scene comes on and it's like him and his mom's like there it is. That's what this is all about, his little love for his mom. His
Yeah.
mom dies somehow, whatever. And then you look at his hands and it's like, oh, why are your hands all gray? Well, something happened in this accident. Like we can piece this together. So if you're gonna do it right in the first, like you said, in that first act. Even the first 20 minutes, that's fine. Don't like spread this out. We know what's going on. Like don't like treat your audience like they're dumb and they haven't seen like John Wick in the past 10 years or whatever. Okay. I am going to agree with Alex on the steady, like the shaky cam. I literally almost got sick. I was just like, Dev, like, we gotta stop, like stop this. And I'm putting this out for all new like action directors. Let's stop with this with the shaky cam because it's getting overused and it's getting like too much to watch and too much to follow now. Where it was fine
Yeah.
for a while, and now it's getting like too out of it. I I understand like the themes of the movie, and I think that it was like my problem with the movie when it comes to its themes and its writing is that you got to pick one, bro. Do you want
Yeah.
to be the Robin? Do you want to be the Robin Hood, or do you want to be the like the mom Avenger or whatever? Like I understand trying to weave them both into a story that kind of like gels, but I think that you're going to be the Avenger of one no matter which plot line you choose, and you go with that plot line. Because if you're going to be the avenger of like all the poor people and the oppression of like the Indian government or whatever, then that's fine. Let's do that. Or if you're going to be the mom avenger because of like this, it's still kind of like the same thing. You can't really do
Yeah.
both. So pick one. I agree with both of
Yeah.
you where I think the action scenes and the choreography was done really well. Um, I just kind of want to know, like, where did this kid learn how to fight? That was my biggest question. Like, are we going to get to this training montage and these flashbacks to him, like, actually training?
He found a different guy with a little drum who could do a rhythm.
I know. And I was like, I think this is going to come back later. and it did. So
Yeah.
I'm with you guys. I expected a little bit more because of the reviews and stuff, but yeah, I was mainly let down.
Not to make us remember this movie still exists, but it's not quite as bad, Shaky Cam. But it did make me think of remember what is it, Snake Eyes?
Oh, yeah.
G.I. Joe. Yeah. You remember that? I think Clint and I think you and I watched that together. And
Yes.
I remember I was like, oh man, there's this great movie. Oh man, I can totally see everything. Oh man. I'm going to vomit.
Except no part of that movie was great at all. The shaky cam was just there.
Yeah.
I no, the movie's not great. I left thinking.
Yeah.
Wait, while we're on a random movie comparison, I think if you took the best parts of Monkey Man and you married it with the best parts of the movie, the rhythm section with Blake Lively and Jude Law, you'd have a really good revenge action thriller.
That is random.
Because that movie, I remember watching that movie. I own that one because I was like, wow, this has a lot of potential. I love the idea of like an unexperienced action revenge movie. And then I was like, this movie does not know how to do this story at all. But I enjoy elements of that movie. And I was like, oh, it's the other half. It's the other half of Monkey Man.
It is.
Competent action, kind of.
Yeah. I just wanted to meet his trainer at least once. Next up, we had Fallout, the TV series. Any of you guys finished Fallout? Oh, yes. Thank you, Ryan. 10 out of 10. I don't care what you guys say. And like I wrote in that my review, HBO or Amazon was like, I'm going to double down on this video game adaptation. And it did very well. I'm not a fan. Like, I've never played the games, but I felt like I knew what the games were about. So I really like this. Alex, if you get a chance, watch this. I was glued
So
for
I don't
it.
have to be familiar with any
No.
part of it?
No.
Okay.
It helps.
It does
Well,
help,
apparently
yes.
it doesn't actually, because I've played 3, 4 in New Vegas, and I liked it a little less than you, Clint.
Wow.
But only because I watched Jonathan Nolan and his production team drive Westworld into the ground, so I'm just pre-cautious.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Was that Jonathan Nolan or was that HBO?
Oh, it was totally HBO. It's totally HBO.
Yeah.
I just know I'm like, if season 2 is good, I will bump up my season 1 to a 9. Right now, I have it as an 8. I don't have problems with it. It's just a cautious 8. Actually, I had one issue with it. I think it's fantastic. The tone is perfect. It does the game stuff so well. I don't care about lore. Who cares? People who care about lore in Fallout games are not getting the point of Fallout games. They take place so far apart in little isolated areas. Who cares? And apparently the game set somewhere, or the show set somewhere. I'm like, who cares? Just have a good time. Watch a guy in a robot suit with some weird old show tunes playing in the background, and ask yourself if you actually like old country music or if you just think the show is perfect.
Right.
I didn't think Raymond Jawadi's score, who was my second favorite composer, was a very good fit a lot of the time. I found myself being like, yeah, you're okay, but bring back the show tunes. And I was listening to something by Marco Beltrami, and I was like, oh, that sounds like Fallout. I was like, oh, I should have had Marco Beltrami do it. He can do the dull. I don't remember the composer who did the games, but it's perfect. They're dull and they're drolling and they're kind of just methodical pieces of kind of post-war music that doesn't really draw attention. And there are moments where Raymond Jawadi's having a ton of fun, like his Western cues for the Ghoul, great stuff. But overall, I don't know. But I really like the show as a whole. Quite a lot.
Yes, Alex, watch it. It's actually really good.
I know. I'll add it to the list.
I think it's probably the single most violent show I've ever seen, other than Hannibal.
Yeah,
really?
There were some moments where I was like, okay, I was like, oh yeah, this is violent, and then there's some moments where I was like, I have never seen that before in a show.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, The Boys is pretty violent.
I haven't seen The Boys.
Oh, let's see, Alex. It's comparison to The Boys.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty random violence for no reason. Some of it's kind of funny, actually.
They had the
well.
There's this perk. There's this perk.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I think it's 3 called like Blood Bag or something. There's this perk you can get where when you shoot people in VATS and get a critical hit, they like explode. They had that on like the whole show.
Okay. Huh.
Okay. Moving on to Civil War.
Yep.
I'm going to start this one off because I know that I read this and some people gave some comments. This is my favorite movie of the year right now. Because I think it's ambiguous for a reason, and it's a very good look at how we need to look at ourselves during times of crisis, why we pick sides, things of that nature. It doesn't need a reason on why things are happening in this movie. I thought the performances were really good. I did really like Kirsten Dunst and Wagner Moya. But I liked Alex Garland's direction as well. It's going to be probably not a hard movie to kind of move down my list, but it is at the top of my list right now. It's very good.
Ryan, you watched it, yeah?
Yes.
I feel like I'm going to be the lowest, but it's not even that low. Go ahead, give your opinion, and then I'll finish.
Clint, I agree with all the points you made. I thought it was really good. I originally gave it an 8. I bumped it down to a 7. I feel like if I watch it again, I will bump it back up. I don't like road trip movies. And this is a road trip movie, and I was like, I don't know. I don't think it's this movie's fault. It is exactly what it wants to be. And the pit stops of watching different scenes and stuff, and it is so interesting in the way it plays on the characters. And objectively, this is an 8 or a 9. I'll say objectively it's an 8. I'm going to save my objective 9 for a different discussion. But I don't know. I was by the end, I was like, I walked out of it and I was like, oh, that was great. And then a week later, I was like, oh, I forgot we watched Civil War. Something about it, I don't think stuck with me. And I think it was probably just the road trip nature of it, where it was like beat for beat, the stuff happens in the middle of the movie. And I really appreciate the way it impacts the characters, and specifically the way that wraps up at the end. Fantastic stuff. Really iconic. Like I can see that stuff being talked about for, the next 15 years of film stuff. Just in the middle of the movie, I think looking back on it, I'm like, oh, Jesse Plemons was great. Everything else that happened, it was all right. There's some cool stuff. So it's solid 7 for me, but it's like an objective 8. I definitely think it's a good movie.
Yeah.
I was like, I was conflicted in my review because this is one of the like more I don't know exactly, maybe the word will come to me later, where a movie where I was able to like if you look at face value, somebody said something about I read a review that was like it's a like a beautiful nothing burger. Like there's not a ton that's on screen, more or less. It's just and it's pretty monotone, sort of, but not like tonally. I'm just saying like there's just not a ton. It's not flashy, I think is what I'm getting at. And so I don't know why I'm just more forgiving in the way that this is shot, because like you follow these reporters and these photographers and you're seeing the movie of during wartime, and it's not like it's a futuristic wartime. It's like I'd gotten people's opinions like on their way out of this movie, and people would like not say it's good or bad. They would just say it's interesting because of how close to possible reality it is. I mean, they don't give a reason for why the state of why the United States is in the state that it's in. They don't say what people have disagreed on. So I mean, maybe it just, but that's also kind of like that resonates to kind of what we are now. We get so into the weeds of disagreement that we kind of forget why in the first place we've started these arguments and these debates. So I think and one of I started writing a review. I couldn't really put together a good like the words were kind of getting jumbled. I wasn't, and see, like right now it's like that. like photographers of real life situations. Like you've seen like gruesome, like there are, not to bring it up, in our podcast, but there are pictures from 9/11, the Gulf War, older wars that, there are pictures. You have to figure somebody took those pictures and they've gone through some stuff. There's people who have gone that have PTSD, legitimately just being that, not directly involved in war. And it's just an interesting take on that. So I wouldn't call this artsy fartsy. It's towing the line a little bit of that, and I'm okay with that. I would give this about a 6 just because of um it's just in my opinion, it's like a hard one to be like, you need to go check this movie out. It's really great. It's about this because the majority of viewers, like just in general speaking, are probably they're not gonna feel super great about watching this. I will say my favorite scene, and I kind of wish they hadn't shown any of it in the trailer,
Yeah.
was the one with Jesse Plemons, because that established so much tension, and it was almost Tarantino-esque, but only in the fact that it was actually a elongated scene, and you had no idea how it was going to turn out. And I was like, I love this scene. I love how I don't know where it's going.
Yeah, you're totally right. A lot of people like they're like, oh, let's tighten the tension and then relieve it. And then Tarantino, and then a lot of scenes like this and stuff like that, like, just gonna, something snapped. That's okay. Let's keep going. Like,
yeah.
So. And I mean, I don't know if I should mention this one part because it could spoil potentially. Because I don't know if we're doing that right now. Are we?
Sure.
Spoiler. Just kind of keep. Well, so for anybody who's listening, watching. Try and skip over this part. I'm going to mention end part of Civil War. I think I don't know the actress's name, the young girl, who's kind of like shadowing Kirsten Dunst. They're in the White House. They're bringing, they're following the militia going in and trying to get to the president and all that. And she tries to take this, like she gets in the open. She tries to get this shot. And Kirsten Dunst, comes and like acts as the shield. She blocks it, and she dies. And I think it's actually almost a good thing that the movie didn't like, oh man, we have to have this, mournful few, 30 seconds, minute, whatever. Man, this is because I think, like I said before about taking a picture of, something super like depressing and, that's just real life. If somebody gets killed in the line of fire or in action, anything like that, it's going to be like that. You don't have time to sit and like, oh man, we have to have this like, oh man, they were a great soul kind of deal. And, and that's what this movie does. It doesn't reflect on anything like that. Like it doesn't give her that, man, this was a really good character. We need to really like, cherish her life and everything like that, or like, reflect on it and everything. No, because I was like, that's what I appreciate about this movie. This is one of a harder sells. I know I'm the like lowest rating, but I'm talking the most about it. It's a hard sell, but it's a decent movie for technical aspects, for filmmaking aspects. So I would recommend everybody, of age, watch this at some point in their life. So overall, this movie is good, and I recommend it to people, to anybody who's of age. Just go check it out once. It might not be for everybody, but I think there's a lot of good technical aspects to this film. So I could probably be talked into a 7. Maybe if I just obviously watch it again, maybe I'll change my opinion. But yeah, I think 6, maybe 6.5 for right now. So it was a decent flick.
Cool. Up next is the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. All of us watch this? Sweet. Who wants to go first? Guy Ritchie film. Alex, go ahead, sir.
I'll be quick on this, I promise. Spoiler, this is the best movie for me this entire year. It's charming, it's funny. It's not overly complicated, but it's not like spoon fed to you either. It's a great little history piece, even for somebody like me who's not really crazy on history. Henry Cavill and Alan Ritchson,
Richardson, yeah.
great, kind of a 1-2 punch there. I hope that that's a combo, in more projects. I couldn't recommend this movie enough. It's fantastic. I was saying at least a nine out of 10. I can't wait to own this. And I can't wait if you like any of, well, it's reminiscent of Inglourious Basterds, also my favorite Tarantino film. It's very much like that. So if you have any connection to that and like that at all, you will like this. 9 out of 10. I loved it.
Yeah.
Best film of the year for me.
Ryan?
I liked it. I think it's funny. So Inglourious Basterds also my favorite Tarantino film. But where you use it as the reason you liked this movie more, I am like, this is great value that. So I docked it a little bit for that.
Yeah.
But
I could see that. I don't disagree with you.
But they can coexist. I like them both. Like, and for me, it's like, is this a deep movie? No. Do I know anybody's names in this movie? No. But it was like part of me was able to just sit back and enjoy the movie for the whole 2 hours. And I'm like, you can't go wrong with that. It's a fun time. 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Glenn, what'd you think? Yeah.
I agree with Ryan. I think I gave mine like an 8. Because it was like I wanted to like this movie a little bit more. But there were parts that could just kind of dragged a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say, but not in a bad way. I do like I liked all the characters were fine, all the action, like it was all good. Don't get me wrong. It was just like one of those movies you watch and you're just like, thank you, that was good, and then you just move on.
I think it was funny how we're comparing, Ryan. We're talking about Inglourious Basterds, which all about Nazis and everything. I think what was crazy, the guy who plays Hugo Stiglitz, he was in that as a one of the bastards, obviously kills Nazis, but he's one of the Nazis in this. So, and I'm like, I've never seen this guy in any other film, and I'm like, so apparently it has to have Nazis for him to get on board.
No kidding. Yeah, I also think it's weird how much. So it's funny. I won't talk about this movie too long, but it's like this movie, the story was declassified after Inglourious Basterds was released, which means that Tarantino definitely knew info that he shouldn't have had, because it's like there's some plot points in both those movies that are like the same, and I was like, they shouldn't be. That shouldn't be the case. Like you can't fault the one movie for it because the true story apparently wasn't told, and you can't fault the other movie because that's how it went, supposedly. So,
yeah, spot on. I agree.
Coming out that same weekend was Abigail. Everybody watched Abigail?
No, I wanted to. Didn't catch it though.
Ryan, what did you think?
I won't get into it, but on the technicality, I saw it 4 times.
Oh gosh!
And I thought it was a ton of fun. It's definitely one of the best 7s I've ever given. The experiences of seeing it 4 times are why I have it as a 7 right now. But I will proudly own this movie when it comes out. I will definitely bump it up. You might see it at the end of the year. I thought it was a ton of fun. Clint, you have a point that I don't want to spoil, but I completely agree with your point that you're about to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's much else that I would do differently, especially having seen the end, the whole second half twice now. I'm like, yeah, I really like the way that this kind of continues to play on its various subgenres without giving too much away. I kept wondering, like, one movie, I was like, should it just stay to this instead of this? And I was like, why bother? Why just have fun? Like, it's just having fun. It keeps just throwing things up and out there, and it's really fun, and it's really bloody and violent, and it was a great time. Solid 7, maybe an 8.
Yeah, I would give it an 8. I think just for the cast, and the subgenre of plays and the subgenre and stuff, because it is very much a you know, what is it called? The perfect game type of plot. And but I do think that the marketing kind of did this movie a little injustice. I do believe that like if they kept this secret of who she is, a little more under wraps and a little bit more secretive and stuff, I think that the movie would have been a lot better. But in the same token, it's like you almost kind of want to know, specifically because of why things are happening in the movie. But I love the cast. I thought that the little girl did really well on like she kind of like amazed me on like how much weight that she pulls within this in this movie. Um, so yeah, I'd give it a solid like yeah, I'm gonna go with an 8. Just because I liked Ready or Not as well. So I'm like this did not as good, but I do like this a lot. Alex, I know that you've seen this, but Ryan, did you see Boy Kills World?
No, me and nobody else.
Yeah,
Opened
really.
in like 10th place. We actually
Um,
had tickets at one point, and then we didn't go see it because we didn't want to.
6. It was all right.
Eh,
Which, by
four
the
and a half.
way, okay, I'll give you that. I thought it was a little bit funnier than it should have been. That's probably why mine's a 6 because I was actually laughing at something. But I will say that I was very distracted every time that his voice was on because he's the
Yeah.
same voice as the Archer, and I was like, Thunderdome. So,
Yeah, Matt kept
Danger
saying,
Zone.
yeah, he kept saying, yeah, Archer and then Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, Bob's
Yeah,
Burgers. So it's funnier than it need to be. Also, why is Chartlow Copley in like random action movies this year?
I
Does
know
he have
he's in
nothing
two of
else to
our
do?
reviews today.
Yeah, like what? It was both kind of weird, both
Yeah,
these
I
movies.
agree.
Um,
I I had to take a double
yeah,
take when we watched that. I was like, oh wait, that's the same dude from Monkey Man. He's like the announcer ring guy person, whoever that you want to
yeah,
call that. So yeah.
I guess. Um, The Fall Guy. Everybody watch The Fall Guy?
I haven't caught it yet.
Okay. Um,
If you want, you can spoil
well,
it for me. I'm honest.
there's really nothing to
I'm
spoil though.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's kind of I mean I think that's I'm torn between a 7 and an 8, specifically because it's like there is really Alex, I'm sorry to say this, but there is really no plot to this movie.
Yeah.
But I mean there is, but there's not, and I think that that's the point of it, where it's just like it is because he's a stunt guy, and it's about the stunts, and it's about the action scenes and stuff. I still think that Ryan Gosling needs to be in comedies. His dry humor throughout this movie is amazing, like it was in Barbie.
Hmm.
Um, I will say that David Leitch is getting better at his directing. Though Atomic Blonde, I think, is still one of my favorite of his movies. Um, but yeah, I think just because the plot is just so basic, that's probably why I put it down a little bit. But I give it a 7 or an 8. It's worth the watch. I would say that.
Hmm.
I agree. I thought it was a great time. Solid 8 for me. It's like an action rom-com first, plot second, and it takes.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem for me was like it took me half the movie to realize that, and I was like, okay, I get it. I get what you're doing, movie. Tell me that earlier. Um, and then the weirdest note I have is it got to the end, and I was like, well, that was a good finale, and then it had like 20 minutes left. Usually that's a bad thing, but it just gets better. I was
Hmm.
like,
Huh.
all right, yep, I like everywhere this is going. It was great. So solid 8 for me. It was
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Um, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Everybody seen this?
Yep.
Alex?
Uh, I so I feel like I might have been on a little lack of sleep. I didn't feel completely like tired going into it, but I did feel a little fatigued. I don't know if it was just that. I just thought especially the opening part of this movie was really slow. And I think it kind of continued until it got to probably the second half. And it was just like the pacing on this movie was just like, all right, let's get going. Okay. And it just, I like the story. I like the characters. I like the introduction of this, I also, in that same breath, I like Andy Serkis was like almost kind of not single-handedly, but kind of the reason I wanted to see the original, not original, but like the first three of this franchise side of the franchise, whatever we want to call it. He was kind of the reason I wanted to watch those movies because I'm like, he's motion captioning in this, oh, what else do we know of motion and captioning? And oh, Lord of the Rings, duh. So this man has a gift for that kind of thing. And so I love uh I'll say I love the trilogy with him, and the fact that he's not in it is just kind of like, all right, we're kind of not aimless, but we're now trying to set up a new character and kind of build up. And there's no big faces in this, no big names, none that I can think of off the top of my head. So it's fine. It's a decent show. I would probably have to watch it again because I felt like I was real tired. Gosh, I'm just a half guy. Like I'm in between. I'm 6.5. It's fine. I think I generally have read that it is the lowest of these four. Like it's a fine complimentary piece, but it is the lowest tier on there. So 6.5.
Well, for me, I think it is because of the plot, though. And
Yeah.
I think maybe because of the pacing. I'll give you some of that, Alex. Like I will agree with you on some of the pacing. Um, but for me, I think it was just like they kind of shoehorned this Caesar, like that Caesar mythology into this just because it was a Planet of the Apes movie. And it was supposed to be connected to the first three. I didn't really feel like this, like it really needed to be in there. And I think that if they would have used some of the plots from like the finale or that third act, I think it would have punched a little harder because I just think it was just like you have the orangutan that introduces the whole Caesar living with humans and everything else like that and being coexisting. It's like, okay, that's fine. But it doesn't really, to me, it doesn't really play a part in much of else that kind of goes on. Except for that one character that dubbed himself Caesar. Um, okay, so we lost somebody. Rest in peace, Alex. But he's probably gonna pop on. So to finish mine, I have about Planet of the Apes. I would give it a 7. It was a good movie, but I just think that they kind of shoehorned that whole Caesar stuff in there for no real reason. Just because it was a Planet of the Apes movie.
I actually found that stuff the more interesting half. It's on it was, but I think it's all the same. I think it's all the same problem for me. What was your rating out of 10?
7.
Okay. I gave it a 6, and I'm like, Alex isn't here to hear it. I think it's a 5.5 because I kept flipping it back and forth, and I was like, it's not worth a 5. It looks too good,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got a good villain. It's got a great protagonist, but I don't think it's quite 6 because it's not interesting. And I was like, early on, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm into this. Like, Alex, I feel like I want to talk to you, but you're not here. I was like, I love slow burn methodical pacings in the opening, and I was like, oh, I'm feeling this. Like, I was feeling this slow intro, and then like an hour later, I was like, oh, the whole movie's this. Okay, we're doing a slow pace the whole time. Okay, that's fine with me. And then at one point, I was watching it, and I was like, wait, when did this become human stuff? Like, when did the ape stuff stop? And this was pretty much just about this other plot. And we never pick up there. And it just feels like this awkward transition into this B story that doesn't really resolve the A story and leads to very unsatisfactory endings for a lot of what we set up. So I think
Right.
that Caesar stuff, I was like, I would love to see what happens from this character Proximus,
Mhm.
who's like using this lore of Caesar to manipulate this whole group of people for his own gain. That's interesting. What happens with it? Not much. Not
Yeah.
much at all. So yeah, I mean, it looks great. It's got a good score, 6 for me. It's fine. I would watch it again. It's just, I think if it picks up rolling next movie and we're like, okay, this is a good payoff. We're
Mhm.
going somewhere with this story stuff. We've got a good trilogy together. It's just that so many trilogies have managed to have a good first movie and tell their own story instead of just trying to be a trilogy. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that I agree
6.
with. I agree with that. Last on this list is If.
Did you see it?
I did. I did watch
Okay.
this. Oh, wait.
Audiences like it. I shouldn't just make a funny raspberry
Do they?
sound. Audiences seem to like it. It's got a solid Rotten Tomato score for audiences. Oh.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe. Let's go. So I didn't realize that If actually had like good audience scores, and I'm kind of surprised by that. I really wanted to like this movie. Like I really did. And then I was like, oh wait, this is kind of like The Sixth Sense, where I kind of seen this plot coming a little further than I should have.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Audiences are suckers for emotional manipulation.
apparently. And childhood trauma, apparently.
Yeah.
Um, you because I wanted to like this movie a lot more, I am going to give it a 6. I thought it was cute. Like it wasn't. It's one of those movies, Alex, and our audience. It is literally one of those movies where it's like it's not bad. Like it's not a bad movie. It's just it's like giving somebody homework and being like, you could have done a little bit better than this. Like if you let this stew a little bit further, like this could have, or if you take your time, or even like drew out this plot a little bit further, um, you could have made a way better movie. And it's just like it just seems like one of those science projects that like you're like, no, because the cast is really good. The little girl who carries this movie, I think is like this is like her first movie or whatever. She does a really good job with like the emotional scenes and stuff like that. Um, but John Krasinski literally borrows themes from every Pixar movie ever made, every Disney fairy tale ever made. Um, and a little like he tries to hide in a subplot in there that's like, bro, you're not doing this very well. So it's like a high 6. Specifically 4 because I wanted to like this movie a lot more than I did.
I know we like food analogies, but Clint, your homework analogy was perfect because to me it felt like homework. And you ever like write a paper and then you're like, oh man, this is a really great point, and you're like, wait, I'm half my word count. Okay, let me get rid of this last paragraph and just change what this is about, and then make a closing thesis that totally reflects everything I said. I was like, I was into it. I really, really enjoyed it. And I just to go into it, I gave it a 5 because I think it was a mess, but I enjoyed a lot of it, and I would watch it again if I found it cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I might own it. I don't know, but Michael Giacchino kind of suckered me into really getting emotional too. I thought he did a great job. I don't like his score from Up because I'm biased against it, but this was like he took the best of that and was like, "Oh, let me try it again." I thought he did a great job. And you definitely get emotional over nothing in this movie. I was like, "Oh man, writing, like it's weird." But I think for this movie, it was like the biggest disappointment for me, other than a particular thing that was like early on. I was like, I bet this is how this is going to end, and it did.
Yeah,
it's not very. We know how movies work. Like the themes of the movie, I was really confused what the movie was about. Like early on, I was like, okay, so this little girl, she's gone through some horrible things in her life, and she's had this disconnect, but she's going to rediscover kind of what it's like to be a kid, thanks to all these imaginary friends that she gets to help kind of rehome. And I was like, what a great story. That's great. And then halfway through the movie, they're like, oh, we need to reconnect them with adults. I guess it's kind of a mild spoiler, but you kind of get that in the trailer a little bit. But it's like, I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's in the story. And by the end, I was like, neither of those went anywhere. I'm not really sure what I learned. The lesson was hold on to things. I don't know. I'm not sure what the lesson was by the end of it. I think that was the biggest disappointment for me. I was like, there's a scene where she's going through and like changing things in a location, and I was like, this is great. It never get better than that. And that was like 30 minutes in.
Mm-hmm.
So 5. I'm gonna forget about it.
Yeah.
Do they explain why he looks like Grimace?
No. Well,
Okay.
there's
Sort
a
of.
joke about what he is, and nobody knows.
Yeah.
But there's like a play on like I think there's like a throwaway line where they're like kids only play on like so much or something like that. Something I can't remember exactly what it was, but I kind of like that everything was based in in simplicity. Like going into it, I was like, oh come on, a banana, and I was like, no, these are kids' imaginary friends. That tracks.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great recurring joke in this movie, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. The when he keeps tripping over Keith. I thought that was a great joke.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why. I was like, yeah, you kind of know it's going to come, but you don't know it until it happens, and it's like, it's a great bit. I enjoyed that bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's all right.
Sorry, Mr. Kaczynski. I really wanted to like this movie a lot. Anyway, that's the last of our list. The only other two that were on here that you guys didn't see was X-Men 97 and Baby Reindeer. X-Men 97 is literally the best thing that I've seen this year, and I'm completely biased on that because I love the original X-Men series, and this one was far beyond what like any X-Men fan could have even imagined. So if you do like the X-Men, please watch this. The animation was amazing. They got most of the original cast back to play some of these characters. I loved that it wasn't a Wolverine story that like most X-Men films and things are now, that are kind of centric on him because he is a popular character. He does he does take a backseat to a lot of the other characters that are coming in. I think that they did that show justice by doing that, because then I would have just imagined that it was just another rehash of storylines that we've gone through or like comic books that we've read or whatever. And I do like that they took a lot of cues from popular 90s comic storylines and they brought them to life. So yeah, watch this. I can't recommend this enough. And Baby Reindeer, I think, was the most like visceral, truthful thing that I've watched this year. I don't know if you guys know what this is about. It's on Netflix. It is a guy, or it's a guy who's nice to like a stalker, she becomes his stalker, and there's reasons like he gives like very intimate reasons on why he kind of feeds into his stalker and whatever. So I thought it was really good. I would give that.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, I would give it an 8. I mean, there was pacing issues, but it was pretty good. All right, so that was my list. Anything else you guys watched? Oh, and Mr. Smith, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Watch that. That was actually pretty good.
I don't want to take up too much time. I've been dying. I don't know if I can wait another week. Alex, will you tell me the number rating you gave? Did he freeze? No, you didn't. Okay, good. Will you tell me the number rating you gave Challengers? And we can say it at the same time and say nothing more about the movie whatsoever. Or we could do it next week. We can hold off. I
can't watch this.
Time.
I can't wait
to talk about this.
Well, because obviously there's a delay between the two, so we're not going to get it exactly right. So do you want to just do?
Ready?
Okay. On Clint's count. Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
9.
2.
I knew it. That has gotta
Ryan,
be that's gotta be the biggest gap in a movie you and I have ever rated.
at least in recent memory,
Probably.
yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, we'll have to set a side quest, a review for that because and you know what, and I'm like I sat there and I can respect other people's opinion, and I was like, I kept leaning to Ashley. I said, this is blah, I did blah blah blah, and she was just basically saying the exact same stuff as me. She wasn't feeling it either.
Well, joke's on
Um,
you because my wife didn't like it either. Wait, joke's on
I'm
me. I see.
I'm the one guy out of four people who
No,
enjoyed it, so y'all are wrong.
it's okay. I see this lovely this lovely
No, like as if you
82%.
like I was you in that scenario. I don't know if you
Oh, I
got
see.
that.
I see. Yeah.
That's
Sorry,
amazing.
you froze and you sped up, and I was trying to make sense of it.
My bad.
No, you're good. We'll have to talk
Um,
about it.
I'm gonna watch this movie now.
yeah,
I didn't really
I
want to
know.
watch it, but now I'm gonna
Hey,
watch
I
it.
think it's one of the best of the year. I think
One when
it's
we
my
have time,
yeah.
and when we have when my internet's that crap right now.
Yeah.
All right. Next week, it's Furiosa. Hopefully we can do this next week with Alex's internet.
I know. I'll just come over to Clint's place, and we'll just be like, side
That
by
works.
side.
That works.
That works. Yeah, man.
Or he can come over here, whichever.
Yeah. Bring my internet.
Yeah, I know, right? Bring your internet. Bring your internet with you. If Amy will let you.
Oh, I'm sure. All right then. Guys, please comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. But we will see you next week. Bye, guys.